The delivery of community care services in Britain has undergone dramatic change in recent years. As public awareness has grown, discrimination against people with disabilities has become as much of an injustice as racial and sexual discrimination. As large institutions continue their decline, it is now accepted that people have a right to more flexible solutions as equal citizens of the neighbourhood in which they live. In today's new cost-conscious environment, carers and service users alike face the challenge of those more flexible solutions. With people having more freedom and greater rights, staff involved in the goal of normal day-to-day risk-taking have to be excited by approaching things differently. They have to enjoy using their creativity and enthusiasm to find different ways of communicating and new solutions to difficulties. Yet within this unique environment, another equally important advance is the legislation directed at ensuring staff are safe and in the best possible position to look after themselves as well as those they care for. Health and safety is no longer an optional extra to the job, but an integral part of working life. The Health and Safety at Work Act is quite clear. Every employee has to take all reasonable care to ensure his or her own safety and health, and the health and safety of all other people at work, such as contractors and visitors to our sites. That responsibility is shared by all of us. In this programme, we look at ways in which you can formalise your approach to meet the requirements of that legislation, so that you, those you work with, and those you care for, stay healthy and safe. No one can deny that staff dealing with disability face special demands. Constant awareness of health and safety is a vital ingredient in the professional carer's armoury of skills. You are, after all, the organisation's most important resource. Equally, in the new commercial realities of today's purchaser-provider environment, management needs the help and cooperation of staff in assessing risk and influencing plans to achieve the best possible balance between safety and available funds. It is very much an active partnership. So staff have a leading role to play in promoting health and safety, and the way you can do that is by taking care. That means you have to cooperate with management, be aware of the risks involved, take seriously your responsibilities, and constantly evaluate ways to improve safety and your own performance.
There's a lot of legislation about that places great responsibility on senior management, both corporately and individually, to provide a safe environment for staff. And that's fine in a production line, offshore oil rigs, that sort of thing, where you have to have very restricted practices. If you're talking about the care sector and dealing with people, you can't over-restrict what they do. And so what we have to do, we have to provide the policies and practices and procedures whereby the staff who are working with the people allow them to make their own decisions, to allow the people to grow and live a normal as life as possible.
You do that stir, then Dan can do the mushrooms.
Everybody has a responsibility for health and safety. Health and safety for themselves, their colleagues, visitors, residents, anybody you're working with while you're performing your job. You have to have this responsibility. That is written down. You involve the people with whom you're working, if it's possible, in their own risk assessments for their daily living. So you allow them to grow and you don't restrict them.
Violence is one example of a widespread social issue affecting all our lives, something we have to deal with both inside and outside a care environment. Clearly, an effective policy can only be achieved with the joint involvement of management, staff and care users.
So you rush out and try and sort the situation out and you're threatened yourself?
Yeah, so dealing with violence is a much wider issue.
Oh, very much so, yeah.
The care role of staff in terms of cooperating, being aware, taking responsibility, and evaluating risks are legal duties placed upon employees under the Act. And that means not just in implementing health and safety procedures, but in informing management of any shortcomings in health and safety arrangements, even when no immediate danger exists.
Hello, Mike. It's Daphne here from
Health and safety is a shared responsibility. It needs to go from the very top of the organisation right the way through, and in fact the other way round too, certainly from the bottom to the top. So we rely very much on employees actually reporting any hazards or defects that they find whilst going about their normal work. Unfortunately, this doesn't always happen. The thing about this is that in a lot of organisations, the carer is a long way from the actual headquarters of the operation, possibly a long way from the nearest manager. That becomes even more important, that they should report back. Sometimes staff don't see that it's important. They've seen it's a hazard, they know it's there, so they can just avoid it on a daily basis, not perhaps thinking that the next day one of their colleagues might come in their place and not realise that it's there and have an accident. It is a legal requirement under Health and Safety at Work Act for employees to do have a duty to take care of their own health and safety and the way they work and how it may affect other people.
Thinking health and safety in whatever is being done is the only way to nurture a dynamic health and safety culture. So what can you do? To achieve a proper balance between risks, rights and responsibilities, and to allow the right decisions to be taken as safely as possible, you need to ask 4 questions. What is the safest way of doing this? Am I sure of the relevant instructions and health and safety rules which apply? Can I see anything which needs extra care or reporting back to managers and health and safety representatives? And finally, can I explain the procedures to the service users and involve them in promoting a healthy and safe environment for us all? The golden rule is to be wise before the event by thinking every time about the way, instructions, see, explain rule of thumb. Only in this way can staff help their colleagues and management to maintain and develop an effective health and safety policy. Ask yourself, what are the hazards in any particular environment? Who is affected by the hazard? And how likely are they to be injured? Can you eliminate the risk or do it another way? Decide on your measures to reduce risk. And finally, record your decision and review it from time to time. In every case, you should ask whether care users can be involved and trained to reduce the inherent risks. These are the guidelines which need to apply in everything you do. Let's look at some examples. Drugs belong to the person they are prescribed for, but self-administration is not always possible. Assess the risk for service users administering their own medication, as well as the risk for those who might gain access to some other person's medicine. Are prescribed drugs under lock and key? We can all make mistakes. It's easy to be distracted. That's why we have a procedure. It reduces that risk. So make sure it's recorded. If mistakes have been made, report them immediately. It's part of your duty of care, and it will then lead to a more foolproof system. Nearly all jobs involve some manual handling, and as we all know, this can lead to muscular strain if not done properly. Some situations require simple rules, others more complex assessing, involving experts. Have you been told? If not, ask what is the safe system and apply it. Assess your own individual capabilities and use mechanical aids whenever possible. And remember, always look after your back. 1/4 of all accidents at work involve manual handling. Lifting people requires cooperation and a team approach from everyone, including the person being lifted. Good hygiene practice eliminates the risk of infection both in the kitchen, in the disposal of waste and bodily fluids, and in personal, intimate care. Use protective equipment provided, such as gloves, and follow the specific guidance given. Dispose of waste according to instructions. Identify there is a policy and make sure you know it. Do you know, for instance, the washing temperature for soiled linen? You should also be provided with information about a hepatitis B inoculation, so make sure you have.
Phil, it's boiled!
Every time you use electricity, you face the potential risk of electrocution. For residents, the risk is just as high, if not higher. Look at the cable and plug for any sign of wear or damage. Is the equipment you're using properly maintained? Does it need testing? If in doubt, report it and don't use it if it's broken. Should you be following a particular procedure? Don't attempt to repair equipment. Leave it to a competent person. Good housekeeping and safe systems of work reduce the risk of fire. Do you know your escape route and evacuation procedure? What special arrangements exist for service users requiring assistance? Regular practice will keep awareness high.
Stephen, Lauren, Lucy.
Risk-taking is part of ordinary life and one of the new and important freedoms enjoyed by care users today. But those risks need to be understood and measured against an agreed risk assessment procedure. Plan ahead. What measures will reduce the risk? Check that everyone is satisfied it's a controlled risk. If there's a better way, own it and report it, and always record difficult assessments. You may need to explain your actions later.
Yeah, it is a point though, yeah.
A dynamic health and safety policy is all-encompassing, embracing health as well as safety for whoever comes onto any of your sites. However good you are, and however many times you've done the job before, keep asking those health and safety questions. It is impossible to underestimate the importance of vigilant staff keen to offer regular feedback. An organisation depends on the willingness of staff to own a problem when one arises.
I'll get somebody to remove them right away.
Thank you.
Staff involvement in bringing a health and safety policy alive is vital. The service users deserve a safe environment in which to live, and our staff and volunteers equally deserve a safe environment to work in. Staff involvement and cooperation will not just happen. An active health and safety policy will have to be driven and should be driven by the management of an organisation and become part of the culture of the organisation. Otherwise, it simply won't work. We like to believe on a day-to-day basis that we are conscious of all the issues, but health and safety legislation is changing almost in a week-by-week fashion now. And this is really why I feel very strongly that there must be an element of it being driven within the organisation to keep staff at all levels aware of the issues and the changes. The message to staff clearly is be conscious at all times, not only of your personal responsibility to the implementation of health and safety issues within the organisation, but be conscious too of the organisation's posture to the issues in general.
There were one or two things that I noticed that...
Equally, staff have a right to expect total support from a committed management responsible for the 4 C's: control, cooperation, competence and communication. Management have a legal duty not just to implement health and safety procedures and controls, but to win the cooperation of staff, develop their competence with effective health and safety training, and to make sure that regular communication with staff takes place on all health and safety matters.
It's very good.
It really is a team effort. For every 300 near misses, there are 30 minor accidents and 1 serious injury. At the end of the day, every one of us can help reduce the number of accidents and injuries and actively promote our own health. Stress at work, for instance, is also an important health and safety problem. It leads to depression and time off work, and you should recognise it and not be afraid to report it and deal with it. This programme is your starting point. The personal benefits of a health and safety culture are there for everyone to own, including service users, so that policy, practice and procedure are constantly promoted and refined to maintain a safe, secure environment in which we can all achieve both our personal goals and the aims and objectives of the organisation.